Hi, I'm Paul Charlton. I'm the current New South Wales President for Formula Vee, and we'd like to welcome everyone here to Sydney Motorsport Park, which is our last round of the New South Wales Championship, and also the second last round for the Australian Formula Vee series. And we're welcoming competitors from Queensland this weekend. I think there's 3 of them have come to join us, and they're really having a nice time. And one of the young ladies, I think, is 15, and that's her first time here at Sydney Motorsport Park. So Darren Williams is currently leading the 1600 Championship, and he's really driven well this year and risen to the top in amongst some pretty hot competition from the Aaron and Simon Pace, which is a father and son team, and also Tyrone Weissman, who's new to the category this year, out of go-karts. He's been pushing them along as well as Curtis Porter from Queensland, and also Michael Kinsella. Michael broke an engine in qualifying, and he's currently changing that engine. And Steve Butcher, who's leading the 1200 series, has actually gone back to Newcastle now to change an engine also, and he'll be back in the morning.
In terms of the category, getting more people involved, what's your message to people out there who are considering getting involved in motorsport?
Yeah, come and join us. This is a great place to start, whether you've raced karts and you're moving out of them, or you're later in life and you want to give motorsport a go. There's nothing wrong with coming and joining us. In terms of the lap speed you can do for the investment, these cars are the best value here. And we've got 25 cars this weekend, which I think is the most of any of the other 8 categories that we have. Formula Vee's been around for 60 years, and it's actually just celebrated its 60th year in the US as well. And it's a great way to get into motorsport. You make new friends and keep them.
I'm Tyrone Weissman, racing 39 Formula Vee at the moment. Started this year in Formula Vee doing the National and State Series, and came from go-karting, which I did for 3 years. Yeah, so go-karting went alright, did a bit of club rounds the first 2 years, and then went national in my 3rd year, went alright in that, and then last year just completed in Rotax Pro Tour and got 3rd overall in that. It wasn't too bad going into Formula Vee from go-karting, sort of basics, sort of alright, going from here and there. But a little bit harder, bigger tracks, wheel-to-wheel racing obviously, a lot of fast guys in this category. It's just been a confidence builder really from start to where we are now. I was a little bit intimidated with the first round, not getting so close and seeing how far and my depth perception and stuff like that. But now we're pretty confident to go wheel on wheel, racing with the guys, and you know that they're all pretty well clean up the front. I think it's a really good category, especially if you want to transition from go-karts to cars. You can just transition, and it's pretty much the same thing, just a little bit bigger on bigger tracks. So this year's going pretty well, to be honest, for a rookie season. 3rd overall in the state championship. Didn't expect to be where I am, but with confidence and working with the mechanics to help put it up there, give it a go.
Final round highlights for the Formula Vee New South Wales Championship, proudly contested with the Australian Championship this weekend at Sydney Motorsport Park. And you can see getting away from the launch quite well is Tyrone Weissman in the Checkmate JP02. He's going to lead this good field of cars, 23 of them out there, into turn 1 for the first time. Everybody getting themselves into position. Of course, Formula Vee here at Sydney Motorsport Park, all about trying to get the draft, make sure that you're sitting in a comfortable spot to be able to see if you can make that all-important run to the line. As we go on board with Jason Cutts on the Jacer, and he's got a couple of cars in front of him as well, looking for position in the early stages. That was Darren Williams on the right-hand side in the Wilcom Group cars, Sabre 02s, in 4th place in the race early on. Everybody's starting to find their positions, stretching out a little bit more than we're probably used to as we go on board with William Pinn, and he is going down the inside of the 16 of Matthew Harriott. Queenslander coming down to race this weekend. Of course, a good spread of competitors from New South Wales and Queensland for this one. Got a couple of drivers from the ACT as well, which basically is New South Wales Championship. As they come down the main straight for the first time, everybody looking left and right, and this is what we see down into turn 2. It spreads 3 wide. Jason Cutts with a bit of a watching brief, and he's snagged the moment there to get up the inside. You just saw Darren Williams get to the inside of the group, And that enabled Jason Cutts to be able to have the opportunity to get past there as well. He's picked up a couple of positions there with a good move. As we talk about so often with Formula V, of course, such a level playing field and category. It's mostly about the driver, mostly about how well you can do yourself to be able to make the car work for you, use your race car, use your skills. It's a great proving ground to get into circuit racing as we now go on board with Jason Cutts. He's going to look to the outside of Darren Williams into turn one. It's a big move to try to make it work around there. You've got a couple of them in the background as well, trying to make that work, and it looks like it's Simon Pace who's trying to see if he can be able to make a move on Jeff Bennett. And they're fighting for position, side by side from the pair of them as well. Taking a bit of a look further back in the field, you can see the number 3 of Don Collier, and he is in a spirited battle with Greg Johnson in the Elfin NG and the Commando. A couple of older Formula Vs here, just showing that all the way through the field there's somebody to battle with, and they're going to go side by side through turns 2 and 3. A little bit wide there from Collier, but he's been able to hold on to the position for now at least. Great fighting from the pair of them through the back section of the circuit, trying to make the lines work, keep the momentum up to the cars. It looks like the 32 managed to get in front there, Greg Johnson, for a minute, probably with the main straight draft effect. And at turn 2 he loses out on the position again. As we see battles continuing on, that's the 29 car of Eddie McFall in the red Jacer, and he is up behind the 30 car of Jeff Bassingwaite and the Johnston Racing Polar, and those two battling hard for position just outside the top 10 at the moment in the late stages of the race. So they need to make sure that they're also not falling too much into the clutches of everybody else behind them. It looks like Michael Gale is trying to make a position, and Michael Gale's driving the Mako Mark III as he's sitting in behind, looking to see what he can do in this scenario. A good battle, 3 cars here, all different variety, all different ways of going racing, but still finding themselves all together on track. At the moment, it's Michael Gale in the middle who's under all sorts of pressure though. Ooh, a very wide moment there for Michael Gale, who's dropped off from behind Jeff Bassingwaite. A little bit of smoke from Bassingwaite's car in the late stages, though often in Formula Vs you do see a little bit of smoke out of the tailpipe late in the race as they start to burn a bit of oil. It's now the 67 of Curtis Porter looks to the inside to try to make a move. Tyron Wiseman has dropped back to 3rd place, and now Jason Cutts loses out there to Curtis Porter to make the move to the inside. So Porter now to the lead of this race, as Tyron Wiseman now looks to the inside at the front. This is in the late stages of this race. Oh, locks the rear brake. He was definitely trying very hard there to make the move on the inside at turn 6. He knows that as we get towards the end of this one, he needs to make some moves to get himself to the front of this group. Not many of them at the very front of this pack in this race. We've had a couple of DNFs. Darren Williams and Yamuna Sternbeck going out. Yamuna down at turn 2. A little yellow flag period there for all the drivers, as now we're going to go 3 wide and past one of the lap traffic to be able to go into turn 1 for the last time. So good fighting from these 3 leaders. Clean, respectful racing that we're used to seeing in Formula V. Wiseman to the inside trying to make it work. It's going to yield him the position there, but Jason Cutts will be able to cut back on the inside for him, hopefully at least, but he's not going to make it work. And the 3 of them continue this battle around the track. Look at this overlap down into turn 6. Cutts looking to the inside. I think he may well be able to get there. And sure enough, he does. He has been able to get himself up to the lead of this race, but that might be a little bit too early with the run to the flag, though it looks like Wiseman has been able to get a good run out of the hairpin. And sure enough, he's back to the lead of the race, so he's pushed very hard into the final complex. That's going to enable Cutts to get into position. We'll have to see if the draft works down to the line. You can't also lock out Curtis Porter from this one as they make this long run down to the flag. We go on board with Cutts. He pulls to the outside. He's going to race him to the line, and it looks like 3 wide. He's going to just get there. Jason Cutts picks up the victory by the narrowest of margins from Tyron Wiseman and Curtis Porter. At the end of the race, it was an incredibly small margin at the front. We caught up with the top 3 place getters to get their thoughts on an incredible race.
It was good. We had a bit of a slow start. We dropped back and we were behind Simon Pace, so we dropped back a little bit, probably a couple of seconds off the lead, and we were able to slowly get that gap brought back. And the last couple of laps, we were back on the lead pack, and just didn't quite get across the line in first. But we've got 2 more races to go. The last lap, we were sort of all side by side around the whole track, and then come onto the main straight, and we just didn't quite get as good of a run as we could. But yeah, it was only a few tenths in it across the line, 3 wide.
Yeah, no, yesterday missed the gear at the top of the hill, last corner, last lap, under a bit of pressure. But today, focused on hitting everything, every gear, every corner, and came out with the win.
Oh, yeah, the whole race was tight like that, so it was always going to be a photo finish. But, thankfully we got the run at the end there, just by a hair. It's funny, the track feels not great, but it's fast, so it's good fun, yeah. Lots of really fast cars here, and this is one of them. So, yeah, I've just got to do my job now.
My name is Michael Kinsella. I race the Jacer 35. Probably Formula Vee about 1998. So I've been around a long time. I do a lot of the travelling and interstate meetings and the Australian series, and a bit less of the state series these days. Yeah, so since I've been around a long time, most people know me. Just racing at the front and competitive against a lot of people. Just like the camaraderie going to the meetings. Everyone's pretty helpful and friendly. Just like working on my own car. You can build engines, gearboxes, you can build suspension, modify the car however you want to make it go faster. So that's what I've just done with my car over the years, which I've had since about 2010 I've had my car, and I just keep fixing it and making it faster.
And so you've had some success during your time racing Formula Vee. How many state and national championships have you won?
Nationals I might be at 3 with Daniel Reynolds. State series a couple I think. But yeah, just like travelling these days and going to all different circuits and trying to be a better driver from learning the different tracks. This meeting's the 3rd round, and we've just been having some gearbox problems on Friday, and then this morning in qualifying another gearbox, and then it's damaged the engine, so we have to put another engine in and then another gearbox. So I missed the first race this morning, and then we've got 2 races tomorrow, but it's best of 3 round series, so there's a 4th round down at Phillip Island, so I'll attend that and see how I go down there. Excellent category if you want to learn, or you just want to come and learn how to drive, or you start to get serious if you're a young guy coming through, and then you can move up to other categories if you feel like it. But lots of people stay in V's, or they come later in life and they can work on the car themselves and just come to the racetrack. It's relatively inexpensive. Everyone comes and helps you out. Like today I've done gearbox and engine. I've got like 5 or 6 other people just coming to help me work on the car, so that's cutting a few hours off the whole job. So that's what I like about V's.
Race 2 highlights now for Formula Vee New South Wales. The final round here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Yet again, we've got 23 cars back out there after a couple of technical dramas for a few of them in race 1. And Tyron Reisman, after leading almost the whole way to that checkered flag, picks up the lead from Jason Cutts down into turn 1. The rest of the field swarming in behind. They'll be looking to stay a little bit closer. Cool Sunday morning air here for the field at Sydney Motorsport Park, as you see Simon Pace there around the outside of Curtis Porter, trying to stay right up with him and make sure that he can tuck into the graft. You've got Darren Williams, who'll be looking to fight back through after that DNF. And you've got William Pym, Jeff Bennett, Michael Cook and Matthew Harriott further back in the group as well. So all of them looking to probably hook themselves up onto these leaders and stay with them in the early stages as we go on board with William Pym in the Pym Racing Jacer. He's just sitting there watching brief at the moment. In the early stages in these races, it's all about getting yourself into position. Of course, as we've seen time and time again, and we keep talking about the Formula V's, all about the straight line slipstream down the main straight here at Sydney Motorsport Park. But it's a massive game of chess throughout the whole race. You've got to use your positioning of your car, make sure you're sitting in a spot where you would like to be able to make some time up on your rivals. Keep an eye on how they're exiting corners, how they're entering corners. Use your momentum in the car to make sure you can get through and be able to pick up position as we go on board with Jason Cutts. Here we go, an example of it. Down into turn 1, he looks to the outside, on board with Tyron Reisman. Look at the way he's fighting that steering wheel through the mid-corner. You can see Cutts' car A little bit sideways, dancing as well through turn 1. He's made the move stick, and further back, just look at this. They're all over each other, all the way down the pack. As we now make the run down into turn 2. You've got Jeff Bennett there in the middle. He's just lost a position of Darren Williams, who's fighting his way back through the field. So he has lost that spot as we go on board with Pym. So Jeff Bennett now will come under pressure from William Pym through the mid portion of this race. They're starting to separate a little bit through the back section of the circuit, which will give some of them a bit of breathing room. Of course, once you start to lose the toe, it can be hard to make a move down into turn 2, but you slow yourselves all down into turn 2, and the rest of the field, or the pack behind, is able to catch up as well, as we see the A04 there of Yamuna Steinbeck. Unfortunately for her, the Team A-Star car pulling to the inside, so that's going to be another DNF as we see Grant Castle in the 90. Coming around turn 2, yellow flags out, so not much these guys can do to overtake each other. So Grant Castle in the Canon and Accounting Nimbus Formula Vee. And he's holding a reasonable gap to Stephen Butcher behind, who will probably be looking to make his way past in the Team Stinger 005. A little bit further than we're used to seeing Stephen Butcher back, but obviously trying to make up ground at the moment on Castle. Speaking of making up ground, back on board with Jason Cutts for this run down to turn 1. It's second verse, same as the first here, as we take on board with Tyron Wiseman. It's almost exactly the same mirror image of the move we saw a couple of laps earlier in the race, and they've fallen into the clutches of a couple of the guys behind, namely Simon Pace and Curtis Porter, who've been able to buy into this battle at the lead pack. And they will look to be able to make their way past the two who fought it out for race 1. It's a great reflective helmet there for Tyron Wiseman. So he's sitting in the lead of the race and then losing it to Jason Cutts. So he's now got to try to see if he can do to Jason what was done to him a lap ago, as they come down onto the main straight, and this is where it all gets interesting yet again. You can see everybody moves to the inside just to try to make it that little bit harder to make the move, but there's enough of a speed advantage for getting in the toe that you're able to pull yourself back to the front of the group. So back to the front again goes Tyron Wiseman, and now we'll see if Jason Cutts can make any sort of move down into turn 2, though he probably can't because it may well still be yellow flags down there. Looks like they're all being well behaved down through turn 2 as Yamunda Sternbeck is getting extracted from the vehicle. She's up and sitting in the flag marshal point. Of course, mechanical failure for that car. No crash or anything like that, so she's all okay. As we look further back through the field and see Tom Davey holding off Jeff Bassingway in the Johnson Racing car. So Davey sitting now in 13th place in the race. These guys battling just inside the top 15. They've sort of separated in the middle of this race away from the pack racing that we're used to seeing with Formula Vee. I think a little bit of the things that happened in the early stages, just giving enough gaps to a few different cars. So that means that we've seen a little bit of pairing off. And this battle's been absolutely great between Tom Davey and Jeff Bathingwaite. The pair of them fighting for position. Now at the front we've got 6 cars all together. So it would appear that Aaron Pace has been able to get up in amongst this battle as well. As we go on board with Jason Cutts, who finds himself in 3rd place in the race. So he lost a position in the mid portion of the race to Curtis Porter. You can see side by side down through turn 1 as the fight to the flag now intensifies. And we've got 6 cars in amongst it. You can see Simon Pace to the inside there, and coming around the outside is Aaron Pace. So they've managed to get themselves in amongst it. Darren Williams has fallen to the back of this group, and we've got 6 cars fighting it out. We saw 3 wide across the line for the finish of race 1 in what was a thrillingly tight finish in the Formula V's, and now we've got 6 of them battling for position at the top of race 2 here, and the Pacers have managed to catch up. So either there was a slow lap in the middle of the race that saw the 2 pace cars get back into this race, or they were able to work with each other while the others slowed each other down into turn 2, most likely, for being able to try to make up a position. And that's enabled them to get onto the back of this pack, though. At the moment, Tyron Wiseman yet again will lead the final charge down the main straight as Jason cuts in behind again. I'm not sure he's as close as he was in race 1 as they all pull to the inside of the track. The checkered flag waves and Tyron Wiseman is going to be able to get home and steal victory in race 2. Jason cuts in second, third goes to Curtis Porter, fourth to Simon Pace and fifth to Aaron Pace. A great second race there for Formula V.
My name's Yamuna Stanbeck. I just turned 15 and I race Formula V's. So I've been racing karts since I was 6 years old, and I've been racing ever since then in Vortex go-karts, and when we were looking for a category to jump into, we found the V's and they were pretty affordable, and they look like really good open wheel cars to race, and everyone here is real nice, so it's a really cool category. This is my first year racing Formula V's, and just trying to pick everything up. You know, it's a manual car which I haven't driven before, and I'm really enjoying my time here.
So you're not old enough to have a driver's license,
No.
but you can drive a race car. Tell us a little bit about how you're not able to drive on the roads, but you can drive a race car.
Yeah, I think it's really cool because, you know, it's kind of like some experience I can get before I get a license to go on the road, and it's really interesting because you can race a car, which I think is more dangerous than driving on the road, but I can't get a license, So I've been racing in all of the Queensland State Championship rounds, and we had a national round up at Queensland, and that's when I found out about these national rounds, so we decided to come down to New South Wales and see how I would go in a really big field. Yeah, so I came third in Queensland at the national round with all of the fast drivers up here, so that was really fun and competitive. Yeah, I love it. I think it's really thrilling to be, you know, wheel to wheel with someone else, and it makes all of the battles real interesting, and I really love it.
And if you've got any advice for someone who wants to get involved in the category, particularly females, what would you tell people about getting involved in Formula V?
Yeah, just come down to the track, you know, have a look at the class, and I think you'll really like it. You know, meet everyone here. I really enjoyed meeting new people, and you know, once I hopped in the car, I was real happy with the class, and I think it's really cool.
Yeah, hi. Don Collier's my name. Reliving a bit of youth here. I actually raced Formula V's back in the 73 through about 78, and this car became available as a pile of bits a couple of years ago, so I put it back together. It was built as a one-off car, and the guy who built it twice won the championship. So yeah, put it back together, and now trying to have a bit of fun in historic Formula V. So it's what the guy called a commando, and it was quite a radical sort of concept. He'd absolutely knew what he wanted to do. So the car is very narrow, as you'll see. You actually sit very far forward in the car because he was trying to get weight over the front wheels, and it was probably one of the first cars which had leading arm suspension on the back of the car. You'll see that it's got winglets on it to achieve the minimum firewall dimension. So yeah, it was a pretty successful car.
And Don, you've been racing with the Historic Formula V Association. This race meeting is your second one with the New South Wales Formula V Association this year. Tell us a little bit about being a historic car owner and driver competing with the New South Wales Formula V Association.
First off, I've been made feel very welcome, so that was good. Obviously, the 1600 cars are way faster than us, but it's been good fun running with the 1200 cars. My car has particular strength in some areas. It actually handles very well, but it loses out down the main straightaway quite dramatically. But I suppose that's part of the fun of trying to keep with the other 1200s. Yeah. the competition between the current 1200 cars and the historic cars. I think a lot of people will be pleasantly surprised if they drive the car half decently. We're looking obviously at being involved in the point score next year, so certainly encourage other historic owners to come along. I was very young when I started back in the 70s, but I knew Bernie Hanley, when I was a kid at school. So I suppose you look at people like that, and there was another guy called Laurie Camfield who was very successful back in those days. So that's probably why I went Formula Vee back in those 70s. As I said before, probably reliving a bit of youth here, although there are people around now that I still know from back in those 70s and 80s. So it's been a significant part of my motorsport interest.
Tell us a little bit about your track experience this weekend. You qualified P3. Tell us about your qualifying session, if you're happy with how you performed, what you secured, and also the race. The car is... I suppose I haven't driven a Formula Vee for quite a long time, so learning or relearning to drive it fast is a bit of a, not a challenge, but it's a learning process. You've just got to be very smooth, and these things obviously don't have much power, so handling and braking is pretty critical. I suppose I've not run all that many meetings since I put the car together, so it's more a matter of a bit of experience, and I suppose I'm doing this. We've got the big HSRCA historic meeting coming up at the end of November, so it's good practice for that as well. Having a lot of fun, and as I say, it's probably a bit of a challenge to try and keep with the modern 1200s. There's it's good fun. It's good fun. Actually, you get a fantastic view when the 1600s go past. That you really appreciate the closeness of those front-running guys in the 1600 class. As I say, top view as they go past you. Yeah. Excellent. Thanks, Don.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
It's great insights there into Formula Vee racing. The third and final race highlights here from Sydney Motorsport Park for the final round of the New South Wales Formula Vee Championship, of course, supported this weekend by the Australian Championship as well, as we see Tyron Reisman yet again leading the field down into turn one. Settling in behind him is the 76 of Jason Cutts, and it looks like around the outside, a big move from the 50 of Simon Pace, and he's going to lead them out of turn two at the moment. A great opportunistic dive there to go round the outside, used his momentum to his advantage, and will now lead this field down round the back section of the circuit. Tyron Wiseman does not want to stay in second place for long. He's moved to the inside, and that's going to give Jason Cutts the opportunity to get back up the inside as well. So frenetic racing in the early stages of this one. Everybody wants to pick up that final race victory of the year, go home with a smile on your face and some confidence into season 2024. Of course, if you'd like to know more about Formula Vee racing in New South Wales, check out the Facebook page and the website. Plenty of cars available to get racing, and a great committee who'll be able to point you in the right direction as well. There's often cars for sale or lease arrangements that can be made, and you can get yourself involved in things like this. Just look at the great pack racing from the lot of these cars. Looks like Jeff Bennett at the back in the green Jacer. Shows you that there's 8 of them there in amongst it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars all battling for position. Strengths and weaknesses all around the circuit, and you'll be able to get involved and fight for position as well. A great entry-level category to be able to learn your racecraft, learn about drafting, learn about the slipstream effect. You can see it here on display as we're going to have a lead change potentially down into turn one, and it looks like yes we will. Darren Williams around the outside makes it work, and then we fan out across the road. Everybody giving room, being able to try to make their move, as we see everybody fighting to pick up what spots they can and get themselves back in the line. That was Michael Kinsella around the outside. So Kinsella hasn't played a huge role in the racing this weekend so far, but he's got himself up there for this final race of the weekend. So the KE Power Jacer, the all-blue vehicle, keep an eye out for it as we go further down the field again and see this great battles continuing on. Around the outside goes Jeff Bassingwaite. That's fighting with Tom Davey yet again. There's plenty of cars all mixed up through this one. Adam Henderson in the Sabre 01, the second of the white cars there. A bit of a lock-up and a slide for him. That's going to drop him back into the clutches of those behind. So that shows you how quickly you can open up a gap here in Formula V and start to lose out as we go side by side into this final complex. And look at that. You get a run, you lose a run, you drop back into position. You're going to come under pressure from the cars behind you. And the intensity just continues to build amongst these 5 cars. Oh, a wheel off. I'm not sure who dropped a wheel there down onto the main straight, but that may well interrupt momentum as they fight for the spots. And of course, ultimately bragging rights in this final race. Tom Davey there has lost out and dropped to the back of this group. Looks like he's not able to quite stay with them as they come round the back section. They're all battling for position phonetically here, side by side. And it looks like that's Paul Charlton trying to make it work the long way round. And I'm not sure that that's going to quite work for him as they come onto the main straight. Jeff Bassingthwaighte to the inside. And now you've got Tom Davey battling in there as well as Adam Henderson. Blacks and whites all together. 4 wide down through turn 2. Well, 2 by 2, but 4 of them in a battle group. Down through turn 1 and fighting into 2 here. And you can just see the variation of lines and everybody making something different work. Showing it's just as impressive at the back of the field as it is at the front. Or in the midfield, sorry, as it is at the front here to fight for position. These guys are going at it and going at it hard. Oh, a big move down into turn 6. And it looks like Henderson's going to try to make that work to the inside. He doesn't. Jess Bathingthwaighte has been able to hold on to the spot as we go back towards the front and see Kinsella has moved his way into second place here. So he'll now try to chase down Tyron Wiseman, down through turn 1. And he does around the outside. A great move. Darren Williams is going to make that work as well. So 2 of the cars we haven't quite seen reach the front of the field yet this weekend are now both vying to take that top spot away from Tyron Wiseman. And he's going to have a bit of work to do here in the final stages. Now we know Tyron has been faster out of the hairpin to the final complex. And then he makes that work. Well, he made it work in race 2 to be able to hold onto the flag. And he'll try to do the same here. Though it looks like no, he's going to be second place onto the main straight. So a lot of work for him to do to get onto the back of Michael Kinsella and run down towards the checkered flag. We'll see if he can get there to the inside, and he does. A nail-biter yet again, but it's Tyron Wiseman who makes it 2 from 3 here this weekend in a great battle with Michael Kinsella to the flag. Darren Williams in 3rd, 4th goes to Simon Pace, 5th to Curtis Porter. We caught up with Tyron Wiseman down in the pits to get his thoughts on a great round victory.
Yeah, pretty well. Started on front row of the grid, P1. Led in the turn 1 and then battled it out every lap until then. Was in first for majority between 1st, 2nd and 3rd. Then coming in on the last lap, I just pipped Michael Kinsella on the line for 1st overall. Yeah, definitely stoked compared to when we were here last time. Had a bit of an engine issue, but that's fixed now and went out there and clearly showed his performance, getting to a 2nd and 2 firsts over the weekend.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed all the action here from Sydney Motorsport Park for the final round of the New South Wales Formula V Championship. Make sure to check out their website and Facebook page for more information and the 2024 season that is ahead. Until next time, we hope you've enjoyed it all on Blendline TV. Bye for now.